So very recently, I watched The Wolf Man, the 1941, the original one, before I went out and saw the new rebooted one, directed by Lee Winnell, and starring Christopher Abbott, and Julia Garner, and um, I never seen this film, this classic black and white film, and I was like, hey, why not? Now is the perfect time. So that's exactly what I did. Now, this film has had a great deal of influence on Hollywood's depiction of the legend of the werewolf. Um, and it is the second film in Universal Pictures werewolf film. And, it preceded 6 years earlier by the less commercially successful Werewolf of London, which came out in 1935. And the film is one of the Universal Monsters movies, and everyone has been critics and audience members, everyone's saying amazing, extraordinary reviews and thoughts about this film. I mean, it's a universal, monster film. It's classic. It's so in this video, we're going to be talking. Well, first of, I will be giving you guys my personal review and thoughts on this film, but also we're going to be talking about the themes in this film, because the themes and interpretations in this film and the legacy that this film would, create. Um, so yeah. So right off the bat, there are some very amazing acting, especially from Lon Chaney Jr. And now, when I say, amazing acting, I mean this movie came out in 1941. If like it's 2025, so if you look back at it, sure, it could come off as over the top or corny, cheesy, outdated. Um sure, you would use those types of words nowadays, but like you have to put yourself like in the minds and in the settings. Like this is a 1941 film, like this is acting, um this is like, this is acting. So back then, but yeah, I thought the acting was great. He really did carry this movie on his back and on his shoulders, and he did a great job. The soundtrack is excellent. It makes the movie more ominous and very creepy. I mean, it's that, orchestra, not orchestra, but like, well, orchestra, but like I was gonna maybe opera, like a very classical score for this film. I mean, and there are some great makeup work on the Wolfman that makes him look genuinely scary. I thought they did a good job with the effects for the werewolf transformation scene. It was a smooth and nice transition. It was depicted using a series of makeup changes and cross dissolves, which looked pretty realistic. And like I said, the music, the acting, the set designs, and the foggy streets and cemeteries all fit perfectly and worked well together to give the film a truly atmospheric presence, which few can match at the time. At the time, just want to highlight that. Um, there are some fantastic low-key, action scenes between the Wolfman and all of his victims. I mean, yeah, it's like they're pretty much like wrestling with each other and like pushing each other, shoving. There's no like actual like physical like punch, but like, rolling around on the floor. But like I said, it was the 1940s, so unlike most of the Universal monsters, such as Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, and Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. The Wolfman wasn't based on any source material novel. The movie featured a very fresh, original story. Um, and as for any issues, I can't. There is no issues. There's no. I don't have any negativities except maybe it's not really everything that I'm gonna be saying. It's just the nitpicks. Outdated. That's the only complaint. If I were to give this movie like a negative, like any like cons or any issues or flaws, I would say it's outdated. Like that's pretty much it. Other than that, this movie is fucking flawless and perfect and extraordinary. And you guys should definitely check this movie out. Here's a fun fact the Wolfman was one of the last monsters to be created that was part of the Universal monster cycle. So that's just one little fact detail that you might not know. But yeah, like I said, going into the themes and interpretations, but wait, actually, before I get into the themes, I will say like the makeups, like the special effects makeup, for the Wolfman design, looks actually pretty better than the fucking 2025, the one that I just watched. And also like the 2010, like what is it? Who the 2010 Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins, the effects over there looked really better than whatever I just saw last night. Um, but yeah, I just wanted to point that out. Um, you know, so diving into the themes, um, the Wolfman expresses and exercises the ID force and uncontrolled aggression in its own system, the werewolf, in Larry Talbot, his werewolf phases, and in the community, the destabilizing force of rape, murder, gypsy, liminality, and aristocratic privileges. Talbot often behaves as if he had been, courting the engaged Gwen. Um, and something I found interesting is that the Wolfman, this movie, there is romance. I did not. I was surprised um, to see how much romanticism, like the romantic relationship between Larry and this woman, this beautiful woman, and the love and the passion that he feels for her, and then he turns into the Wolfman. Like I was surprised of how much, and I actually really thought that they did a good job developing that, which is something like the rebooted one that I just saw lacked. Um, and as with other werewolf films, a lot of people who analyzed this film, uh, they see this film, The Wolfman, as being analyzed as an allegory for puberty. How so? You might say. Well, uh, there well the fear of sexual passion and its ability to bring chaos is part of the arsenal of anxiety inherent to puberty, and the werewolf does. And as has been widely noted, grow hair had become a subject to animalistic drives as if it were going through puberty. And the desire is dangerous. The monster is one's animal nature out of control and making one behave like an animal. And it's and I when I was reading That's when I was reading these statements and all these, analytical and all these analysis, I sit down and I was contemplating and I was like, and at the end, as a result, like I completely agree with what all these people are saying, when they're breaking this movie down. I can definitely see like the comparison, when Larry transforms into the Wolfman, it's kind of like, puberty, like um puberty, especially when he meets this woman. Like it definitely, it enhances that. I mean, maybe you might see it differently, but that's just me. um yeah. And in 1993, film historian David J. Skal characterized The Wolfman and its sequels as reflecting the anxieties of American audiences amidst World War II, calling the series an unconscious parable of the war effort that centers around Talbot's crusade for eternal peace and his frustrated attempts to control irrational, violent European forces. In his 2004 book, Nightmares in Red, White, and Blue, Joseph Madry wrote that the resolution of the Wolfman is, and I quote, is not reassuring in the way that earlier Universal horror films with the distinctively uh, Manichean view of the world were. And Larry Talbot is not torn between forces of good and evil. He is a victim of a cruel or indifferent fate in a less comprehensible world. So those are three big themes and interpretations that that a lot of people have found, and I just wanted to give them and give all these people and who analyze this movie. uh I just wanted to give them a little shout out. And they did a great job, really breaking this movie down, because I never really thought about some of these stuff. But yeah, moving on. Yeah, so this movie was just amazing, and it led to a lot. It led to the Wolfman is like the only universal monster to be played by the same actor in all his 1940s film appearances. And the actor Lon Chaney Jr. was very proud of this, frequently stating in interviews that the Wolfman was his baby. Um, and the Wolfman is one of three top tier Universal Studios monsters without a direct literary source. The others are the Mummy and the Creature from the Black Lagoon. Those are some examples as well. And the sequels, the Wolfman proved popular, and Larry Talbot, the character Larry Talbot never had a sequel all to himself. And the character of the Wolfman, came back in Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, which came out in 1943, 2 years after this film. And the resurrected Talbot seeks out Dr. Frankenstein for a cure, but finds the monster Bela Lugosi instead. So there's that. And this film would also have a remake, like I said earlier. I believe The Wolfman 2010. It was directed by Joe Johnson. And it stars Benicio del Toro as Lawrence Talbot, who also produced the film, the 2010 remake. And that film also stars Anthony Hopkins, for which I know. I did see that movie. Maybe one of these days I'll do a review of the 2010 remake. But Anthony Hopkins plays his father, Benicio del Toro's father in that film. But the film did receive some mixed reviews and a low box office reception. But it did win Academy Award for Best Makeup in 2011. So there's one plus. There's one positive taking out for that 2010 remake. Um, but yeah, and then of course and then later on we have, the very brand new, recently released uh 2025 reboot Wolfman, which is, was I believe Lee Winnell, well, directed by Lee Winnell, and also attached was produced by Jason Blum from Blumhouse Studios, starring Christopher Abbott and Julia Gardner. So yeah, so that's pretty much it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for taking time to listening to my review, my thoughts. Those are some facts and some information, some themes and interpretations, some breakdowns that I wanted to explain and share with you guys. Maybe you didn't, you didn't know about these informations, and I gave you some knowledge. I just dropped some knowledge on top of you guys. But thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time listening to my review, my thoughts. Please like and subscribe. Definitely subscribe, because that would help me out a lot, help me and my YouTube channel out a lot to keep making more videos like this, which is something I'm very proud of. So yeah, do all of that great stuff, and I will see you in my next video. Peace.